gang. I'm back with another video. Another episode. That's the word. I'm back with another episode. So I'm pretty sure you've all been waiting for the details on my trip to España. So that's what this episode is about. So without further ado, I'm Micah Gregory, and this is the Micah Show. So, my trip to Spain was, I don't know how to explain it. I went into this trip with no expectations. So, yeah, I went into this trip with no expectations. So this was just, to see what it was. Honestly, my trip to Spain wasn't like one of the top trips not like I didn't want to go on it, but it was just a trip, Like my Egypt trip, that was a must. That was a must. I had high expectations for that one. I wanted to do everything, see everything. Well, my Spain trip, it was just like, okay, I want to go on a trip. Let's go to Spain. That's literally what it was. It was like, I want to go on a trip, Spain. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, Spain. That's literally what that was. So I didn't have high expectations for the trip. Yeah, I didn't have high expectations for the trip. I've been on this trip since literally Egypt. So I booked or was it Belize? Might have been Egypt. I think right after I came back from Egypt, I booked the trip to Spain. It was either that or right before I left for Belize, I booked the trip for Spain. One of the two. Either way, I booked this trip like 6 months to a year in advance. So I've been paying for it for, obviously, Christmas time. Paying over time is a blessing. I'm so sorry. And I went on the trip in May. It's literally August, like today. Happy August, guys. But it's August 2023 right now, and I went back in May 2023. I flew out May 23rd. Yeah, May 23rd. That's when I flew out. And let's get into it. Let's get into it. So May 23rd was my trip. I flew out, and I had a connecting flight, and I actually had an afternoon flight. I think I left my airport at like 2. My flight was at 2. And I made it to Washington, D.C. Right? Or was it Philadelphia? Oh, that's hard. IAD was Washington, right? What was my trip? What was the Philadelphia? Whoa. Okay. I think Philadelphia, Heathrow, London. I mean, Egypt. I think that's what that was. So I think Spain was Washington, D.C. My God. Washington, D.C.? That doesn't feel right. Anyway, I had a connecting flight, man. Oh my God. My connecting flight, the layover, I don't remember how long the layover was, but I know it wasn't too bad. And then I took that flight to Spain. Bro, like I'm trying to remember deets and I don't remember deets. And I can't go on my phone. Because I'm using my phone to record. Oh, this is so hard. Anyway, it's not important, Micah. Come on now. So I have my laptop here, but you can't see it. Yeah, it's right here because I'm using that for the itinerary because I don't remember. This trip was 3 months ago. Like, get off my back. Anyway, so flew over to, my only connecting flight was I think it was Washington, D.C. I think it was IAD, which was Washington, D.C. And took that flight over to Madrid, and we landed in Madrid. Had a nice morning flight in Madrid. So once I landed, I I'm so sorry. Once I landed, I immediately got my luggage and I went to the the orange cellular store, and I got a SIM card. I got a SIM card. This was my first trip where I purchased a SIM card and I used a SIM card on the trip. I did not do it for Greece. I did not do it for Egypt, and I did not do it for Belize. I completely thought about it, but it was fine. I honestly believe that not having a SIM card was honestly a like, good off the grid moment for me. Now, granted, having a SIM card on this trip, it didn't feel different. It was just I was able to access my phone when I wanted or needed to, right? Versus not being able to access my phone because I don't have a SIM card. So, but I got a SIM card and they inserted that into my phone for me. And then from there, I was rolling. I had cellular data over in España. Yeah, I had cellular data. English is so freaking hard. I had cellular data in España. From there, we met at a cafe. Me and some tour people and my tour director. We all met at a cafe. And I actually met one of my people. His name was Matt. He was actually there before me. He was sitting there waiting, and like we kind of locked eyes, but like we didn't know it was each other. So he was sitting there, and I was just like, all right, I'm gonna go on the other side of the place and just wait for the tour director. But then he came up to me, he found me, we introduced, and just so happened we're both from Florida. I'm from here in Orlando, and he's from Castleberry, which is literally right next door. So hey, look at that. And we were on the same flight. We just didn't sit with each other because we didn't know it. Yeah, we didn't sit with each other, but we were on the same flight, and we ended up being roommates for that whole trip. So thought that was kind of funny. But we found him, and then our tour director found us. And then more people came in as more people started to trickle in for that section of the tour, like that group. More people started trickling for that group of flights within that time. And our tour director, we got on the bus, and our tour director took us to our first hotel. See me. And as we got to the hotel, we met more people. We met Casey. Oh, excuse me. We met Casey, and we met Caitlin. Casey and Caitlin, which is funny because Caitlin is also from Florida. She didn't come on the same plane as me and Matt. I think she came a flight later, but we were also from Florida. She lives on East Orlando, which is quite funny. So we met them, and it was still early in the morning. We were hungry, so we actually went to explore. Like we just walked around and explored. Literally just walked around and explored. We found this nice little restaurant. I will say pause, because I will say Spain is different when it comes to restaurants. So they open for breakfast, then they close, then they reopen for lunch, and they close for 2 or 3 hours. So breakfast, let's say hypothetically, breakfast is like from like 8 to 11. Then they close from 12 to 2, and then or from 12 to 1, and then they reopen at 2 for lunch. So we were looking for places, and they were all closed because by the time we got to the hotel and checked in, but by the time we got to the hotel, it was like 12 going on 1 or something like that. And so we were looking for places. They were all closed. We couldn't find food, but we ended up finding this place, this little restaurant that was actually open, and we ate there. And I had the tortilla de patata, which is like, it's an omelet, but like it's like a thin layer of tortilla, of like egg tortilla, and like it just has like potatoes and like a bunch of stuff in it. I don't know how to explain it, but I had that, and it was sorry, this is Italian. It was delicioso. It was very good. I loved it. And that was my first meal in Spain. It was really good. From there, we kept walking around. I would say Madrid felt like New York, just, in Spain. Madrid is a very built up city. And I loved it because I'm a city boy. Like, Orlando is literally like a 30-minute drive. But for me, it doesn't feel like 30 minutes because I drive these streets. Anyway, Orlando's a 30-minute drive from where I live. I live literally on the outskirts of Orlando. So it's nice for me to be able to have this little quiet scenery in like the middle of nowhere, but then still be able to get up, get in my car, and just go to downtown when I feel like it. You feel me? So, but yeah, like I said, I consider myself a city boy. So when I was in Madrid, I was just like, this is home. Like I love this. I love this scene. I love this. I love everything about it. It was when it was quiet, it was quiet. When it was busy, it was busy. When like it was literally a flood, like busy, quiet, busy, quiet, busy, quiet. Like it was just a fluctuation of activity from time to time, which I feel like it's like that in like a lot of cities. And I just love the fact on how walkable everything is in Madrid. And I'm assuming that's like that for big cities. I'm pretty sure New York is the same way. You could literally just walk, and the store that you need is right there. You need to go to a grocery store, just walk 2 blocks. It's right there. You need to go shopping. Shopping centers right there. Like it's. I'm pretty sure it's like that in New York, but I can't. I have not been to New York in my adult age. I've been when I was younger, and obviously I was younger, so I was with family 24/7. Yeah, I was with family 24/7. But now that I'm an adult, I would definitely love to go back to New York and experience that as an adult. Anyway, but I feel like I already got that in Madrid. Anyway, so Madrid was a very, like I said, it's a very nice city. After we left the restaurant, we just walked around some more, and we ended up finding. Pause. Sorry. So after we left the restaurant, we walked around, and we ended up finding some bakeries and stuff, and just like little shops and stuff to pop in and look at. And it was quite, pop in and look at it. And it was quite fun. We ended up finding this mall, this outlet mall, which was honestly it was a mall. You walk in, one level is like jewelry, next level is like shoes and clothes and whatever. But on the bottom, like the basement level, had a grocery store. And we've been to 2 malls while we were in Spain, and I'm coming to terms that a lot of malls like that in Spain are shopping malls, and then on the lower levels, they have grocery stores. So I thought that was cool because you could do your shopping, and then you could do your grocery shopping, and it's all right there when you need it. So we were in there, we explored the grocery store, and then we left. Caitlin and Casey, where's Cassie? I think it's Casey. Maybe it's Cassie. Caitlin and Cassie. Anyway, they wanted to go to a little shopping plaza, and it was quite of a walk. It was quite of a walk. But at the time, I was tired, and I think Matt was ready to check in as well. So they went to go to the shopping plaza, and Matt and we walked back to the hotel. But Matt also wanted to see this little central like garden square type thing, which was literally across the street from the mall. So as we were walking through it, it was literally like a park. It was literally a park just in the middle of the road. Again, like I guess like New York. I guess they have that in New York. I don't know, man. I need to go to New York. Anyway, but it was literally like just this long strip and trees, and it was a park. It was very. Oh, I think I have pictures. I'll put pictures. But it was a very nice and scenic thing, especially for me being a tourist. And come to find out, like it put us when you leave, like the park place, it put us almost right next to our hotel. So we went in, and our rooms weren't ready. The rooms weren't ready till like 3. So we got there, and we just sat down in the lobby. We ended up falling asleep. But then we woke up, and by the time we woke up, everybody from our tour group was there. And our tour director was there, and she was giving out room keys. So we honestly woke up just in time. Went there and went to go check out our room. It was a nice room. It's fun fact, when you go to hotels in a lot of, I would say European countries, or just a lot of countries that's not in America, or at least on this side of the hemisphere, don't expect for big rooms, right? We stayed in 3-4 star hotels, but they were small rooms, right? 3-4 star hotels over there, it's not like 3-4 stars hotels over here. keep that in mind. So when you go to a country, at least on the other side of the world, don't expect a big bedroom, right? Don't expect a big room. Don't expect a big room. It's 9 times out of 10 it's going to be a small. It's going to be a 3 or 4 star hotel over there, maybe like a 2 star hotel over here, or as far as room sizes. I won't say. I will say the facility itself is a pretty nice, high quality and standard facility, right? Just don't expect a big room, right? It's not a Quality Inn. Did I say that right? Or it's not a Hilton. Quality Inn is that. No, it's not a Hilton. Yeah, I think I said that right. So just keep that in mind. But after everybody were to get there, we all changed, and our tour director, Noelia, I love her, she gave us some Metro passes. And she gave everybody a Metro pass, and we had 10 trips on there, which we didn't use all 10. We was only in Madrid for like 2 days. 2 nights. We got there, we all freshened up, we changed, we checked into our hotels, and then we met back in the lobby, and we went on a walking tour. We left the hotel and we walked to the nearest subway, which this was my first time on a subway. I'd never been on a subway. So we went to the subway and scanned the passes. We went down. We found what line went where. And we went to that train. We got on. We took off. And then we got off and we walked upstairs, and we were like in the center of Madrid. Like I said, this is my first time using a subway, so I knew what to expect, but I didn't know what to expect. I knew, you go down in the subway, you wait for the train, you don't step on you try to wait behind the yellow line. Somebody told me that. I was like, well, I obviously know that. I don't want to fall down there. Anyway, it told me that, and I honestly would say I loved it. I loved using the Metro. Literally everywhere we went, they had, not a lot of places. Some places didn't have a Metro service, but places that did, I loved using the Metro. It was so convenient. Yeah, you might have to walk a block or two to get to your stop, of course, but it's just so convenient. And honestly, that's something that I wish Florida had or has. Obviously, Florida, you can't have a metro system in like an underground railroad system in Florida because of our limestone and our water. And you drill a hole on the ground, either a sinkhole is going to form or it's going to get flooded, and then a sinkhole is going to form, right? You can't have that in Florida. It's the limestone. But we have above ground railroad systems only for either like goods, like traveling, like freight trains coming back and forth, or for cross city travel, like the new Bright Line that just opened up in Terminal C. Only goes from Orlando to Miami, or the Sunrail only goes from Orlando to Jacksonville. Or, well, not only from Orlando to Jacksonville, or it only goes to major cities, is what I'm trying to say. And it sucks because Orlando itself is a big city. You know how much money you would make if you had a metro system, like a metro system above ground, obviously, a metro system running all throughout Orlando or all throughout Orange County and Seminole County and Osceola County. If you had a metro system throughout this whole Central Florida area, you would make bank and life would be so much easier. Less traffic. I wouldn't need a car. My car transmission just gave out on me 2 days ago. I literally was driving it to work and I parked inside. I went inside to go get some cookies because I was going to the school and I promised them some cookies if they, got a 45 toss in for me. Anyway, and I started it up and I, I was able to move the gear stick, but the car was not moving. So I was like, at this point, I don't even want a car. I don't want to pay for insurance. I don't want to take out a loan, and I don't want to do all that stuff. If we had a metro system, I would 100% use that to my fullest advantage. All I have to do is walk 2 blocks to get on the train. The train is going to take me 2 blocks from my job. Come on. Why would you not want a metro system? I love people in New York. Y'all got it. Y'all got it. Y'all got it. People in New York, Chicago, all the places, y'all got it. That metro system is the shit. The bus system is shit. The metro system is the shit. The bus system is shit. Public city buses anywhere it's not it ain't shit. It ain't shit. Don't even leave it alone. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. Anyway, so we got on the train and we got off the metro and it literally put us in like the center plaza, like the center of Madrid, the center plaza, and this is where we took the walking tour. We walked within the city center, and we went to Plaza Mayor. We seen the presidential palace place, something like that. We ended up seeing another palace with like the monarch's palace. So there's a president and a monarch. I just found that interesting. Or was that the mayor? No, it was the president. I'm pretty sure it was the president. President and a monarch, which I didn't know Spain had a monarch. I thought the only people that had monarchs was honestly Britain. Yeah, I thought Britain was the only place with a monarch, but Spain has a monarch too. And we like I said, we just walked in the center, we explored, and she was, pointing out places to us, but she wasn't a tour guide. She's just a tour director. So she's not trained to be a local guide of the city. She doesn't have that education. She doesn't have that degree for the city. She's just a tour director. She plans and she takes all care of the accommodations and, everything. Make sure that all the ends are tied and make sure that all her duckies are together. Her eggs in her basket, right? So she wasn't allowed to give us information on places that we went, like historical information on places that we went. But she, pointed out recommendations like this place. Oh, this is the presidential palace, da 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 da, A B C D E F G. And as we walked, she took us to our welcome dinner, where we had salad. They gave us like 2 drinks. They had an option of like food. I think I had the steak and mashed potatoes. Yeah, I had steak and mashed potatoes. It was like Salisbury steak. Not even. It wasn't even Salisbury steak. It was like just a slab of meat, gravy and potatoes, which wasn't bad. I'm not gonna hate on it. And then after that, she was like, it's you're free roam. You go back to the hotel, or you stray out and you roam the streets. Which in Madrid, Spain in general, was the most I've been outside. Egypt, pretty sure EF set up the trip where everything that you needed was within your hotel or you were with the tour director all the times. We did not explore nightlife or just anything without our tour director, right? Same thing with Belize. We did a little bit more going outside, but again, there was a lot of things that was just at our hotel that the most that we did in Belize, probably we went to a restaurant and came back. Some people actually went out to the club. I didn't go out to the club. Honestly, Spain was my first time going to the club out the country. So, and she was like, yeah, you have the Metro Pass. Make sure that you Google what metro you need to take, and make sure you pay attention to the name so you know where you need to get off and what subway or what station that you're getting off at and how far is it from the hotel, all that fun stuff. If I'm not mistaken, this is the night that I actually got up, or we were all talking about going out and finding the club, because there was some pretty active folks on this trip. And they wanted to go to the club, so I was looking for places. We got back to the hotel, and it was like, no, they're too tired. So 2 of the guys that were there, they were friends of, they're from Texas, if I'm not mistaken. It was like, well, we're finna go, go to hit up some bars, take some shots. Okay, well, let me go with you. I mean, that was like I was offered because we were all sitting in this area at the table at the welcome dinner. I was like, yeah, you know, you want to go out? You come with it? You want to come with us? I was like, yeah, sure. And so, but we got back and the girls were tired. They didn't want to go out. So me and the guys, we just went out and we went to Chupito, and it's a small. It was anyway. Um, but they're famous for their 300 shots, and they have like a chalk. It's not a chalkboard. It looked like it could be a chalkboard, but it was a screen that curved over and had a list of all their shots, all 300 shots. So I was like, okay, this is cool. Sat there, and mind you, the shots were €3. €3 shot. So we was like, all right, you pay for one set, then you pay for one set, I'll pay for one set, and then if you want to take a shot by yourself, you can take a shot by yourself, or we all getting shots. You just throw in. We was just throwing it back, 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 and we was like, let's go find another place. Try to find another place, but a lot of places were closed. If I'm not mistaken, it was a weekday. It was like Thursday, so a lot of places were closed. A couple bars were open. We went to La Rosilia, which was just a bar up the street. We got some drinks there, but it wasn't nothing too special. They don't do cocktails in Spain. So you can't go over to Spain and ask for a Shirley Temple or a strawberry margarita or that fun stuff. They don't do that. The most they can do is like, well, not the most they can do. They can do a stuff like that. They can do other stuff. But common requests are Coke and gin and tonic, vodka lemonade, all that fun stuff. Those are common requests. Those are stuff that you could say by name and you're getting it. Or a beer, right? If you want, or mojitos, that's also a thing too. But if you want, well, they might do strawberry margaritas. I just thought about that. But like Shirley Temples, Long Island iced tea, stuff like that, you're not gonna find that. If you want something like that, you have to ask, like that's upon request, but you have to go into detail. So when we was at La Rosilia, I was trying to get a cocktail and he was like, no, probably because he didn't understand me, but he was like, no, we don't do that here. So I was thinking of what can I get? I seen behind the thing there was I seen behind the bar that they had a bunch of they had juices and seltzers and all that fun stuff. So I was like, and I remember before I went on the show, I remember going out with my friend, and she ordered pineapple juice just to have pineapple juice. So I was like, okay, let me get pineapple juice and one of your white vodkas or tequila. Yeah, it was vodkas on the show. I don't remember it by name, and I put it in the Google Translate and translated it for him. He was like, all right, bet, choo. And it was literally pineapple juice. It had liquor in it, but it was literally just pineapple juice. And I was like, okay, well, might as well. But this place wasn't as bussin' as or poppin' as Espit Chupito. So after we got our drinks there, we finished it, and then we went back to Espit Chupito, which that one was a little more tourist friendly. And I say that as in there was a lot of people our age from our country there looking to have a good time, not a long time. So we were there also vibing with them, looking to have a good time, not a long time, you feel me? Shot. After that, we ended up going back to the hotel, which, if I'm not mistaken, we didn't have to use the metro. This one was just a walk away. So we just walked to and from. Anyway, we get there, and we checked out. Boom, that was it. Day 2, we ended up waking up. The hotel had breakfast, so we had breakfast at the hotel. And we had another walking tour, this time with the actual tour guide. We got on the bus, and we went down to Plaza de España. Not yet. I lie. We didn't go to Plaza de España yet. We went to a park. And she was telling us about how, the importance of this park is historical. It had, an Egyptian temple there, literally built like the Egyptians, or not the Egyptians built it, but, it was a gift from the Egyptians, right? They built it there. And it was a viewpoint of the actual Plaza de España, and it had the palace where we were going to go. So we ended up taking pictures, and then we ended up walking down to the plaza. And there was a statue that she was giving us, information on. It was a nice little garden, nice little scenery, all that fun stuff. And then we ended up walking towards the palace. Again, we ended up walking towards the palace, and she was giving us information, all that fun stuff about it. Don't ask me to repeat it because it was 3 months ago. I don't quite remember. I also think my earbud was dead, so I did not hear her. Anyway, so we went down there, we took pictures, and then as we were leaving, which we didn't. First of all, there was an underground bus station. There was an underground, like not a bus station, but parking lot for buses. So we were walking on the ground. It was literally like an underground base for buses. We was like, what the hell was this? This is so crazy. Anyway, we got on the bus and we took the bus down back to the center of the city, but on the bus. So we was on the road and we were taking a driving tour. And as we was taking a driving tour, she was also, pointing out places and the historical significance of this place. And this is where we seen the palace, the monarch's palace. And there was a bunch of people outside, I guess, waiting to see the monarch. And then we drove around the town center, and she was like, government building, da 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 da. And we made a stop. The stop was our location. Oh, there's a lizard. And the stop was the location that we were going. We took a break. She was like, if you guys want to go get some lunch or get some food, go ahead, do what you need to do. Which, it was literally in front of a Taco Bell, a Dunkin' Donuts. Up the street was a Burger King. And I was like, I want to try these foods. And my tour people was like, no, there was also a KFC in the plaza during our walking tour. And Noelle gave us churros and chocolate. Anyway, back to present. I wanted to try these food. And they was like, no, Micah, you're in Spain. Try Spanish food. Don't eat from the fast food chains. I was like, but they have Spanish food in the fast food chains, right? They don't have things that we have in America. And I wanted to try it, to talk about how to sign. I don't know. I don't remember what it was, but it looked so good. And they would have let me eat it. And then when I went to talk about it, they were closed. So I don't think I ended up eating. I don't think I was hungry to begin with, but I didn't end up eating. And then we all met back and with the tour director and a local guide, and we went to the art museum. Went inside the museum, and she took us around, and she was telling about some pictures of there was Dali and I forgot the other guy. And she was telling us the difference between abstract and modern. Or modern and contemporary. If I remember, it was modern artists are dead or contemporary artists are dead. One of the two, but one of them are dead, but their art still lives. Anyway, she's been giving us the whole spiel about that, all the fun art stuff, and then we came back. We left the art museum, and from there, they were like, all right, you're free to do whatever you want. It was like, oh, well, okay. Some of us actually wanted to go back to the hotel and just take a nap, which I did. Found one of my tour mates, her name was Priya, and we ended up traveling back to the hotel. And we went up to our rooms, we KO'd, woke up that same day actually, because I have a friend from Spain, her name is Paula. She lives in a town 30 minutes or an hour outside of Madrid. So like me, outside of Orlando. And we weren't meeting up till about like 4 or 5, because I think she had to get off work or something. And she was like, no siestas. And I was like, siestas is a Spanish nap. And she was like, no siestas. And I was like, no siestas. But I had so much to do, so I went home, I went to sleep. I'm so sorry, Paula. She's literally been up. She was like, if I didn't have to come see you, I would be home sleeping right now. I was like, I'm so sorry. I went home, I went to sleep. And we ended up, I ended up going home, going back to the hotel, taking a nap, waking up, and then meeting her. I ended up walking like a block or two blocks, I think, to the station that she was getting off. And, we met. We was like, oh my gosh, Micah, Paula, da 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 da. And we ended up taking a walking tour. She gave me like a walking tour. We ended up walking a lot. We were walking a lot, man. We were far from the damn hotel. This is only day 2. We were far. We ended up walking, and we went back. I don't know if we got back on the train. I don't think we got back on the train. I really do think that we walked. We walked, and we walked down the Plaza Mayor. And she was like, do you know anything about this? Do you remember? I was like, yeah, we were just here earlier today. And she was like, okay. And we were walking. She went to go take me to this, apparently there was this nice viewpoint of the whole city. And it's inside the store. And we went up like 9 flights of floor. We went up 9 floors. And when we got to the top floor, the 10th floor, they ended up closing off. She hasn't been there in years. So she didn't know that they closed off the building. Like they closed off it was a patio restaurant, rooftop restaurant, and they ended up closing off the view, or like putting up walls to enclose. There we go, to enclose the restaurant. And so we got there, and she was like, "I'm sorry," and I was like, "Don't be sorry. It's fine. I still like this. It's fine." And she was like, "Oh, we go to Plazas de España." And I was like, I didn't remember the name at the time, but I was like, okay, let's go. And then we got there and it was like, oh, I've been here already. We were here earlier this morning. She was like, how do you not know the name of it? I was like, I'm sorry. And so we ended up walking back up to the Plaza de Mayor. And she took us to Retiro Park, which was it was a huge park. This one was like Madison Square. Have not been to New York, so excuse my analogies. But I can compare Retiro Park. I would say Retiro Park would be like, I can only imagine the equivalent to Madison Square Garden. Maybe not as big, right? But at Central Park, Madison Square Garden and Central Park, isn't that the same place? Either way, Central Park. And I would say Retiro Park was like Central Park. We got there and it started to rain, so we ended up going to like one of the little park, little station restaurants. Ended up sitting down, and because her shoes, there was some old shoes, and she didn't know that the shoes were like breaking. So she was like, "Oh, let me sit down. My feet hurt." And we ended up drinking, just catching up, talking, filling each other in each other's life. And then once it stopped raining, we kept walking. We went to the glass. There was a little glass palace, which is just literally a little like small palace just made of glass. It's literally just glass, like a greenhouse. We ended up walking some more, taking pictures. We found out that there was like a whole like book convention there. So like there was just like this mile long, well, it wasn't a mile long, but like there was just like the long ass strip of like a book fair, and there was people with books and authors and people. And it started raining again, so we had to run under and hide under the tree. And then we went to the lake and we took pictures at the lake. And then as we completed the circle, we walked around. We left Retiro Park, got stuck in the rain again. And then we ended up walking down to the museums. But we didn't go to the art museum that I went to earlier that morning. We ended up going to the science museum, and we didn't go inside, but we ended up going there. There was a cathedral. We went inside the cathedral, and the cathedral, I've never been inside a cathedral before. I've been inside a mosque. That was amazing. I didn't know cathedrals was like this. Christianity is so boring. Christianity is so boring. Catholicism. I mean, not for me. I'm not religious. But like when it comes to like aesthetic, Catholicism got that in the bag. Right? That cathedral, man. I thought churches just look like the church I got across the street. No, they said, oh no, we finna go in for the Lord. We finna go in. We finna throw billions of dollars of gold and marble and expensive wood. They go in. They go win at cathedrals. Yep. They sure do. Anyway, I digress. We ended up doing that, walking down, taking pictures at the museum, and then we ended up walking back to Plaza de Mayor where I got some lunch. She was like, it was not even lunch. It was like almost dinner time. And she was like, it's like 6, Micah. Dinner time don't start till like 9. And I was like, I know, but I want some food. I have not eaten since this morning. I probably had like a couple snacks. And she was like, fine, you can get some food. If you want it, you can get it. And I was like, yeah, I want it. And I got it. And so I got it. I got some pizzas. And I ate there. We ate, and then we went back. We went back to the metro, and then that's when we departed ways. I miss you, Paula. I miss you, Paula. But sorry. In the parting ways, I went back to my hotel, and she went back to she went back home. Then later that night, a group of them actually went out to the club. I don't know if I fell asleep. I think I fell asleep again. I think I took another nap, and I woke up, and I was like, I want to go see nightlife. I want to see nightlife. So I ended up leaving the hotel by myself. No one else. Oh no, no one knew that I was leaving. I ended up leaving the hotel by myself and literally walking the city at night. Like 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night. It was night. Dark. Everybody was home, sleep. But the fun thing about Spain is that their nightlife do not start. Like I said, everything's late, right? Their dinner starts at 8. At 6 p.m., it's still daylight outside. We have dinner here in America at 6. They have dinner in Spain at like 8 or 9. One of the two. They have late dinners, which means that they have later nightlife. We have dinner here at 6. Nightlife don't start till like 10. They have dinner at like 9. Nightlife don't start till 12. All the clubs open at 12. And they close at 7 a.m. Here in Orlando, they open at like 7 p.m. Nightlife doesn't start till like 10 p.m. It closed at 2 a.m. They close at 2 a.m. So as I was out exploring, get a message from my tour mates that they were going to the club. They went to this place called I don't remember the place. Anyway, they ended up going to this club, and I was like, okay, well, let me meet them there. How far is it? Oh, it's a something minute walk. I'm not gonna waste my train pass to go. So I ended up walking there. I ended up going to Plaza Mayor. That's where I ended up going to Plaza. I ended up going to Plaza Mayor. Did I say that right? Yeah, I took the metro back to Plaza Mayor, and that's where I did all my walking, my nightlife. And then that's when I found out that they were out clubbing. So I was like, let me see if I can go down there too, and see what they're doing. I think I got there around like 1. And when I got there, they weren't letting people in. The only people that they were letting in were people that came in like a couple hours earlier. I guess they had like a free entry, and then if you were in, they kicked you out. So they sent you down to get I'm so sorry. They sent you down to get a wristband, and then you come back in. So I tried to go in, but they was like, you don't got a wristband. And I was like, oh, well, when can I get a wristband? He was like, you don't get a wristband. There's nowhere you can get a wristband. And I was like, well, okay. So I ended up spending that time walking to the club, not being able to get in the club. So I ended up walking back. And the nearest metros, I walked to the nearest metro. The nearest metro, I went down, and it was like, the metros are closed. Mind you, I'm about a 45-minute, was it 45? I'm about a 45-minute walk from the hotel. I'm about a 45-minute walk from the hotel. So I ended up not being able to catch the metro, and I didn't want to call a taxi. I just felt like that was stupid. Plus, I didn't know how to do that, right? You had to download the app. They don't have Uber, they have Cabify. So you had to download the app, put in your phone number, which at the time I did not know my phone number. Right? It was on my SIM card. The SIM card plate was at my hotel room. So I didn't know my phone number. So I couldn't put it inside the app. So I just said, fuck it. And then, like I said, I ended up walking all the way back to the hotel, walking through Plaza de Mayor. They're cleaning the streets. There's people. There's this. Like I said, at this point, and I didn't get back to the hotel till about like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. So I spent the whole, literally, I left at, I don't remember when I left. Let's say I left at like 10 or 11. And I don't know, walking. And I've been outside at night in a foreign country, foreign city, walking the city till about 3 o'clock in the morning. You can't do that here. You can't do that here. I don't think you understand how just relaxful, how peaceful that was. Yes, I should have been afraid. That's the cat. I should have been afraid. And in the back of my head, in the back of my neck, the hairs on my neck was standing up. But I didn't pay no mind. Like, yes, because I'm black. I've been told to keep my head on a swivel my whole life, right? Because the world is out to get black people like me. So I've been told to keep my head on a swivel like 24/7, 7 days a week, 24/7, 365 days a year. For as long as I've been able to walk and talk. And even before then, probably. But I've been told to keep my head on the swivel. And especially me being inside a foreign country, and no one knew that I was out by myself. Yeah, my head was on a swivel. My head was definitely on a swivel, and I was very aware of my surroundings. But nobody, no. I was literally, no one batted an eye at me. There was this one dude who ended up walking out of his apartment or whatever the same time as I walked past, and he was a black dude. I'm pretty sure he was from some country in Africa. Anyway, he was a black dude. He was a nigga, and he ended up trying to get my attention, but I ignored him. I kept walking. Other than that, and I don't even know what he wanted, but whatever the case may be. Other than that, no one batted an eye at me. I felt like I was in the safe, I felt fine. I felt safe, and it's probably because I was, I'm a male. Nobody wants to kidnap a male, but even then, I was fine. No one, I didn't feel scared, right? And so I ended up walking through downtown Madrid, which is where Plaza de España was. And downtown Madrid, it's literally like Times Square. It was like Times Square, big cities, flashing lights, everything. I ended up walking through downtown Madrid, and then I ended up walking. I ended up walking back through Plaza de España. I'm so sorry. When I was leaving the club, I ended up walking through Plaza de España, and this is where I found some ruins, like some underground ruins and tombs, and I was like, okay, this is kind of cool, but I didn't know how to get down there, so I just kept walking. That's when I went through downtown Madrid, and then I ended up cutting through and going back to the hotel, and got to my room at like 3 o'clock and fell asleep. Woke up the next morning, got breakfast, got on the bus. Dang, it's 47. Dang. Anyway, got on the bus, and we was out of there, and we ended up going to the next town, Toledo. Yeah, no, I just finished. I spent an hour talking about Madrid. Crazy, right? But we ended up going to Toledo. And no, we didn't spend much in Toledo. We ended up going to Toledo. Toledo, it was like this little town, and we picked up the local guy, and she took us to like a little panoramic view. We could see the whole city. And then she took us to a sword molding shop where they taught us the history behind Toledo. Toledo is like the swords town, and a lot of people there were either swordsmen or they sword crafts, like they were craftsmen for swords, blacksmiths, sorry. And we ended up going there, seeing how swords were made, and I ended up buying a couple swords, not for me, but for my stepdad and my friend, buying swords. And then we did a walking tour through the town, and we ended up in a plaza. And the plaza is where they used to do bullfights there. But we ended up walking through the town, and we stopped at we seen a wedding. And this is where I got McDonald's. I got McDonald's here in Toledo, and it was nothing special. It was McDonald's. So it was just, but they had different burgers and stuff like that in Spain. So I considered it Spanish food, even though it was McDonald's. Anyway, that's literally it. We did that in Toledo, and then we got on the bus, and we went to Cordoba. And we went to the synagogue mosque, or the cathedral mosque cathedral. I think it was a mosque cathedral, because Spain has a history of Middle Eastern Ottoman type Empire stuff going on there, or not there, but like I said, in histories. There was times where it was, ran by Romans and then the Ottomans, and then so they have a lot of Catholicism and Muslim heritage there. So we went to the Cathedral Mosque, which it was either a cathedral turned into a mosque or a mosque turned into a cathedral. Either way, it was huge. It was big. It was beautiful. Pictures. I'm just gonna let the pictures do all the explaining. Right. We didn't have a tour guide there. We didn't have a local guide there. We just had our tour director. Our tour director took us in. She was like, you have this much time. Do what you want. I did what I want. And then we got on the bus and we finished our trip. We finished that day entering a city called Seville. We got there. Our tour director was like, "We're gonna go eat. Where I'm gonna check into the hotel, and then we're gonna go to this place. I'm gonna go to the place, and if you guys want to join me, you guys can." It was literally a plaza full of restaurants. So we ended up just like breaking up into like groups, and we ended up finding like little restaurants for us to eat. And I found the ice cream and waffles after I ate. I had calamari sandwich. They have a sandwich, just calamari sandwich. And it's literally just fried calamari with some like aioli. It was really good. It was really good. And then I found my ice cream and waffles. And then we ended up going to the club. Oh my gosh, we ended up going to the club. My tourmate Matt, he was gay, and he was interested in going to a gay club. So all of us ended up going to this little gay bar, and there was literally no one in there. It was literally my tour group, or like the small tour group that was there. It was literally us. It was us and the bartender. So we essentially had the whole club to ourselves. But then again, we were also there a little early, so nightlife didn't start yet. And we were there, we were drinking, we were having fun, we were dancing, and it was like, let's go to the other club. We ended up walking into a club called Coco. It was like, and one thing that Spain does with they do with their club is that your admission is you have a drink included with your admission. So if you pay $10 to get in, you get one drink. $15, you get two drinks. $20 to get in, you get three drinks included within your ticket. And then after that, you obviously have to pay for your extra amount of drinks. So we ended up getting in, and Caitlin wanted to go home, back to the hotel. So I ended up waiting for a cab with her. And then I ended up buying my ticket and going to the club and getting with everybody, and we were dancing, chilling, vibing. Like I said, there was not a lot of people there, so we were all able to, vibe. And I ended up getting drinks, and the person didn't want their ticket, so they gave it to me. I ended up getting another drink, and you don't want your ticket? Okay, I'll take it and get another drink. And we was dancing. Pew! Blackout. I don't remember. I was fine. I remember using the bathroom, peeing, come back out, and a lot of people here, so I was like dancing, vibing. I was like, hey, woo. But I was getting lit, trying to make sure that everybody was, in the vicinity. I was like, all right, so you're here. I don't see this person. Oh, this person's over there. Okay, I think these people left. Okay, cool. This is everybody that's with us here. Hey, ooh. Blackout. I don't remember. I woke up the next morning with a mad fucking ass hangover, bro. That shit was crazy. I don't remember. I literally remember, the last thing I remember was people saying, Micah. And I was like, pause. Okay. I'm going to answer your question. And you shut the fuck up. Like, what is wrong with you? And that's it. That's all I remember. That's it. I don't know what happened. The next day I woke up and I didn't do anything. I laid there in bed. I woke up mad late. I woke up at like 2. One of my roommates actually, she had her day because it was a free day. So we didn't have anything planned today. It was just like go explore the city. I was like, okay. I stayed late. One of my roommates was there and she was out going to get dinner. She texted us. She was like, hey, if you guys anybody want to come get lunch with me, I'm going out or dinner, whatever the case may be. So I ended up meeting up with her and we ended up walking and we just was looking for places and we ended up finding this little burger joint and I had nachos and boy, something was happening in here as I was eating and it wasn't sitting right. And so I got up, I was like, oh, my stomach was like, and my vision was like, so I had to go to the bathroom. The door was not opening. The door was not opening. So I just stood in the hallway and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. So I ended up walking back to the table, sit down, I drank some water, and I just sat there. And she was like, are you okay? And I was like, no, I'm dying. And she started laughing at me and she was like, oh, I'm living for this. Like, keep it going. Like, I was like, no, this is not funny. Like, I might sit here and like just throw up on everything. And I didn't. I didn't. And and then I was sitting there and I was like I was mentally, I was just like dying. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like gonna explode. And then everything went from, everything just like came back in. Everything was just like my senses, my stomach, my senses, everything that was like just heightened and just like crazy, just came back. And I was like, okay, I'm sober. Like it wore off. I'm sober. I'm Gucci. I'm good. I'm not gonna die. So we ended up finishing our food, and then we just ended up walking back to the hotel, and I ended up passing out again, taking a shower and passing out. Woke up the next morning, and we had a long day waiting for us, but it kind of started off. Oh no. We had a long day waiting for us, and we ended up taking a driving tour around Seville. We was in Seville. We ended up taking a driving tour around Seville, and picked up our local guide, and we went to Plaza de España, Seville. Plaza de España, Seville was different from the one back in Madrid. This one was like an actual like building, and it was the actual plaza, and had fountains, and had a moat and everything. And she told us, she was like, the one thing I remember from this plaza was the fact that it was featured in Star Wars as like the center court of Planet Naboo. So if you see Star Wars and you go to the scene where Planet Naboo, that's Plaza de España, Seville. Plaza de España, Seville. Not Plaza de España, Madrid. Plaza de España, Seville. And so I Googled the picture and I was like, oh yeah, this is literally the plaza. Like, it's uncanny. Obviously, they added elements to make it look otherworldly or out of this world. But other than that, it was uncanny. So we end up leaving. They was telling us about pickpockets. So yes, there are pickpockets there in Spain. It's yeah. We ended up getting on the bus and we went to, I forgot what it was called. I don't remember what it was called, but I don't know how to explain it. It was like a city within the wall. It was like an enclosed city. It was like walls, and then in the walls it was a city, and then there was the walls, and then in the walls was like just a smaller like cubic, like I don't know, it was a city, whatever. And so like the passageways were like small and narrow, and it was walking city. You obviously couldn't drive through it. And we were walking through it, and we made stops. We went shopping. The local guy was telling us about it, and then we ended up going to there was this garden, and we were walking through the garden. The garden was just a big garden, and it was a garden, and I took pictures in the garden. We took pictures in the garden, and we went to the fountain, and there was peacocks, and there was flowers, and it was just pictures and pictures and pictures and pictures and pictures and pictures and pictures in the garden. And then we came back. Um, I ended up, yeah, was with us just a small, it broke off into a little small group. I feel like I had like a couple groups within this trip. I had like I'm gonna call them my little quirky group. I had my little quirky group, and then I just had like the party, the cool kid party group. And when like I hate to say that I was picking and choosing who I wanted to hang out with when I wanted to hang out with them, versus being that person that's just like, yeah, I'm gonna stick with you because you guys are cool. But it ended up being like that because there was people that wanted to, do stuff, go out, and then there was people that were mostly there for like just just to be cool and be like fun and stuff. So depending on what the activity was, I definitely bounced from little small groups. Um, but I definitely think that I was kind of cool with everybody on the tour. So we did that, and then we ended up going out to eat again. And then we ended up coming back to the hotel, and we went to sleep, and we got ready for the next day. Which the next day, that was, whew, child. Things are gonna get easier, huh? Ooh, child, things are gonna get brighter someday. We ended up waking up and we had to leave. We had to load the bus to leave Seville. It was our last day in Seville, so we had to leave Seville. And a lot of the people that went out to party that night ended up waking up like getting home late and having mad hangovers. So they ended up not making it to the bus on time and made my tour director so fucking mad. It wasn't funny. It was not funny. It was not funny. Oh, mind you, my tour director came out to the club with us back in Seville. When we went to Seville, she came. She was like, after we had dinner. That's what it was before we went to the club. Oh, so these are 2 different days. Anyway, there was an included lunch, and we had the lunch, and she was like, all right, that's it. My tour. I'm done being a tour director, and then that's when we went to the club, and that's when I got fucked up and I blacked out, and she was throwing. She was. I'm sorry, but she was throwing Spanish ass. She was throwing Spanish ass. She got fucked up too. She blacked out. We was on a trip. We was on a bus, and she ended up being like blacking out and laying on the floor, and there was some dude like grinding on top of her, and she was like, "Oh, this is sexy." No, it was like, no, Leah, like no. Anyway, I'm so sorry. Then we woke up, on this is day 7. We're on day 7. Woke up on day 7, and that's when some of those those 2 people, they went to the party, woke up late, and made my tour director mad. One of the 2 people actually got sick, and so she ended up getting left behind in Seville, and then she had to take an Uber all the way to the next city that we were at. Felt bad for her, but like we were on our itinerary. All our stuff was booked. We have to stay on the itinerary, so she had to stay back behind until she had taken COVID test and make sure it was negative. So she had to stay behind in quarantine until it came back negative. Anyway, but she ended up getting sick, just not COVID sick. She ended up getting sick, and we made it to Granada. We got off the bus. We checked into our hotel. We relaxed for a little bit. We went to go explore. And we got some food, and then I went with my quirky group again. We got some food, and then we came back to the hotel, and then they went to the Alhambra, which is a nice little, if I'm not mistaken, here it is. Here we go. The Alhambra, it's a cathedral. So that's when they ended up going. I didn't go because I didn't feel like I needed it. So I stayed behind and I called my FaceTime my grandmother or video chat at my grandmother, and we ended up taking a nice little walking tour around Granada. And Granada was nice. It was a nice small city, but it definitely had that balance of hustle and bustle and then quiet, laid back scene. Um, and again, everything was very walkable, so you could walk anywhere. Everything there is what you needed, and it had a nice. It says Moorish here, and then it had, yeah, Moorish alleyways. I don't know what Moorish mean, but it had a nice Middle Eastern feel. Granada was that Middle Eastern city of Spain. I ended up walking to like some Turkish like trinket store and speaking Spanish. Well, not I wasn't speaking Spanish, but we were trying to communicate. Me and the lady were trying to communicate, and you could tell that she was Middle Eastern, but was either born and raised in Spain or Middle Eastern, and moved to Spain, learned Spanish, and moved to Spain. Either way, but she spoke little English as well. So I ended up buying just a few like some shot glasses and just like little and some coin purses, but just like little things from her. Then I went back to the hotel and I think I took a nap, woke up, and that's when my tour group came back from the Alhambra. And Caitlin, which is the girl that got sick and had to stay back in Seville, ended up meeting them there at the Alhambra and then coming back to the hotel with us. And Noelia had an optional excursion plan that she planned herself. It wasn't through EF, which I don't know if I told you about this in Belize, but the tour directors, they will have like optional excursions planned um, that they plan, and you would just pay them to do it. And one of them was the beach, but not a lot of people paid for the beach, so we didn't. We ended up not going to the beach. Um, but another one that a lot of people paid for was the flamenco dance. Oh, and the flamenco class. We took a flamenco class back in Seville. I'm so sorry, y'all. We took a flamenco class back in Seville. That was one of the optional excursions. It was quite fun. It was very fun. It was quite fun. It was very fun. And then that's when we went out to the dinner with everybody. And then that's when we went out to the club. Oh, I definitely missed the whole day within this video. I definitely missed the whole day. Anyway, we're back to the present. We went to the flamenco class. We went to the flamenco show, which is literally a small cave. It's a long cave, but it's a small cave. And they have chairs literally right next to each other. So there's not a lot of elbow space, but they give you drinks. And it's small, it's not air conditioned, so it does get a little hot in there. And it was a lot of people. They had my tour group, and then there was an Asian tour group, and we were all lined up against the walls, and there was barely walk space. And flamenco dancers, they played live music, they had live dancers. It was very fun, it was very loud, it was very pretty, it was very aesthetic. It was a nice place. It was a nice show. Then we all got back into the bus, and not to the bus. We did take the bus. And we went down lower, and we took the walking tour. We took a little night walking tour. As we walked, we met up with another tour guide, but I think he was an optional tour guide. I don't think he was actually part of the itinerary. Yeah, I don't think he was part of the itinerary. I think he was just like a friend. Maybe he was part of the itinerary. Anyway, so we met up with him, and he took us like through a walking tour to like to the city of Granada, or like through the older part of Granada. And they just telling us about the history and stuff like that, and how like it was very like the Middle Eastern culture impact inside this part of the city, and because it's older, there's a lot of things that you can and cannot do as far as like they won't allow you to build it up, and they won't allow you to gentrify it and stuff like that. And then we went to a nice viewpoint of the Alhambra and had it lit up at night. And then we got back on the bus and we went back to the hotel. A couple of us actually went out to go get some drinks and food. We went out for drinks. We wanted food, but everything was fucking closed. So we just went out for drinks, went back to the hotel, and we just fell asleep. We woke up, and then we had to travel to Valencia. This is actually the city that my tour director's from. This is where she was born and raised. This is literally her city. But she actually doesn't live there. She lives out in the Canary Islands, and she flies in for like these tours, and she either, depending on how long her tour is, like the break that she has between her tours. Because literally, she had a tour before us. She had a tour, and then she had the weekend off, and then she had my group. And then after my group, she had the weekend off where she went to her mom's place. Like, she went to her family, her mom or her dad. And then she had another tour group. And then she was telling us she had another tour group. And then after that, we, what you call it? After the other two groups, she had like expanded amount of time where she went out and she went to go spend time with one of her friends in a van and surfing and all that, living life on the edge. She went to go spend time with her friends, and then she came back, and now she's currently on like the ultimate Europe trip, which you're literally in Europe, the continent of Europe, for a whole month, and you're going to like different countries and all that fun stuff. Anyway, but she was telling her this as we were on the bus to the older parts of Grenada. We were, just trying to like, so, who's in your life? She's like, no, I'm 35. I don't want any kids. I'm not getting married. I'm just living. A friend of mine's put me onto this job, Mr. Planify. She was telling us about Mr. Planify, which is a tour app that you can plan out the tour and send it to your people. And she was telling us about the tour, or about that, and how Mr. Planify, who Mr. Planify, and then she was telling us about Pablo, which Pablo is like, he's a friend, but he's a friend. He's a special friend. They're not like boyfriend and girlfriend. They're not dating. I don't know if they do that adult stuff, but he's a friend. He's a friend. And this is what she was telling us about, her trips and the guys in her life that she knows, which is Pablo and Mr. Planify. And this one, she was telling us about her. We was talking about that night, and it was like, oh, I was laying on the floor, and then there was some guy grinding on top of me, and she was like, that was sexy, no? We was like, no, Elliot, oh my God. Anyway, fast forward, we wake up the next day, and we had to get ready. We pack up our stuff, we load the bus, and we head off to Valencia. Valencia was like a 3-hour drive. So we definitely made a couple stops, but we head off to Valencia, and when we get to Valencia, Valencia is a nice city. She took us to the Arts and Science Museum, and it was the whole museum was sculpted by this architecture who based the museum off like the design of a whale. So this building was like the body of the whale, this building was like the mouth of a whale, this building was like the eye of a whale. It was like, that was interesting. And it just so happened the same architecture that architected those buildings architected a polytechnic school here in Florida. And so I was like, this building looks familiar. I was like, we have something like this in Florida. And she was like, who designed it? I was like, I don't know. Googled it. It was the same person. I was like, that's actually really cool. I didn't know that, and now I do. But it was a nice science museum. The part that was the mouth of a whale had like water around it. We could go canoeing and paddleboarding, all that fun stuff. After that, we checked into our hotel. And then we had another walking tour in Valencia. She gave us bus passes. This is where I was like, no. No, the public buses. It was just a no. We got on the tour, or we did the walking tour. We were walking down through like all of Valencia, and we ended up stopping at this church. She was, giving us, she was showing us recommendations. We were sightseeing, pointing out places that she knew. She's telling us about the paella there in Valencia. She's been telling us about paella, which is like, it's a rice dish that's cooked in a skillet, and it's commonly made with like seafoods like crawfish and lobster, crab, clams, scallop, oysters, all that fun stuff, or clams, sorry, not oysters, but mollusk. And she was telling us about this dish, and it's very common in a lot of Spanish culture. So you can ask like your Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, Mexicans, all your Hispanic friends. They know what paella is. And she's been telling us about this dish all the way up until we got to Valencia, because Valencia is like the best paella dish. It's like the home of paella. Paella is the best there. So as we were sightseeing, she was like, now you guys are free to go do what you want. And I went with my group, I found with like this group of people that I know, and we ended up going to a restaurant and getting paella. And Noelia ends up finding us, and she joins us and have paellas with us. And we end up getting 2 dishes of paella. We had a seafood one, which is what me and my tour mate Sonica, we shared that. And then Noelia, me, Sonia, and I think Hazel. No, me, Sonia shared the seafood one. Hazel, Catherine, and Noelia got a dish that had chicken, snail, and a rabbit. They ended up eating that paella dish. Me and Sonica ended up eating our seafood paella dish. The paella was good. The paella was busting. Paella was amazing. The only part I didn't like was having to get the seafood out the shell. I'm a person that I don't like fighting for my food. I don't like having to eat shrimp and have to take the tail off the shrimp, or having to eat. And I know, and crab is a different story. I'll fight with crab. I just don't like having to fight with my food in the middle of a dish. If I'm eating crab and only crab, I'll sit there and I'll fight with crab. But if I have spoon, I have a fork, I could scoop up the rice and I could just, but I have to stop. I have to crack the lobster open or the crawfish open to get all the goods out, then eat it. It was like, I don't like that. And that's the only part I did not like about that paella. I would eat paella. I love paella and I would eat it again. I just don't want to fight for my food. So the fact that they had like snail and mullet and chicken over there, or snail and rabbit and chicken, I was like, I could get with this. Boom. Oh, this crawfish and the lobster just wasn't doing it for me. And Sonica was the same way, and she apologized for it, but like I was like, no, it's not your fault. Like, you didn't know. It's just, ooh, I'm so sorry. I don't have water. I need water. But I was just telling her, I was like, and she was like, yeah, I don't have to fight for that either. So we agree. But after that, we ended up walking around, found another ice cream and waffle gelato place, ended up meeting with some people, and we just, we were vibing, we were dancing, vibing, chilling. We explored Valencia. Met up with some other people. We went out for drinks. Found out that the party group was going out to the club, so we was like, let's go. And we ended up going to a couple bars, and I ended up meeting with Gabby and I think Ricky. And Ricky went back to the hotel, but Gabby and I stayed out and we walked around some more looking for bars. And we ended up going to this bar, and we ended up chilling. We ended up finding a dude. Noticed that we were American, so he ended up coming over and was like, "Hey, you're American. Do you know any with the American people will be out in the clubs? There's a lot of not American people, but young people. Where a lot of the young people would be. It was like, oh, they might be at a club." And, he sat down, he talked, we told him, he was like, yeah, you can sit down with us, join us. He was like, well, I actually have a friend outside. You guys want to come outside? So we ended up going outside, me and his friend. His friend is Britain, but he's Sudanese. So this nigga was a black nigga. He's Sudanese, so he was black. And so, it's just like, oh, okay, we're black. He's British, and the dude we were talking, he's Norwegian, but his parents are from like Turkey, and he lived in South Africa. He was telling us about his story, how he walked from South Africa to Northern Africa. He walked, and they were telling him not to walk, and then he got kidnapped and all this fun stuff. And oh my God. But he was born and raised. He was born in Norway. His parents are from Turkey, but he's lived in a lot of places anyway. So the 4 of us ended up, sitting, we talking it out, and then we ended up going to another bar, and then we was like, all right, this is cool. And then the friend, I forgot his name, but the Sudanese friend, or the British friend, because he's British, but his ethnicity is Sudanese. Anyway, he ended up not staying. Or we went to this lounge, and they had like a nice little reggae night, so we went there to see if we could find more people. We didn't, we ended up not finding people. Yeah, we took a taxi. We was at this bar. We took a taxi. No, we walked to the reggae place to see if we found our people there, and they were there earlier, and then they left, and we missed them. I was like, okay, cool. So we went there, we chilled there, we vibed there, we drank, we took some shots, went to another bar. Or we were looking, and this we found out that our friends were out going to the club. So it's like we got a taxi and we ended up going towards that direction. And we thought originally the plan was that they were going to I forgot the name of it, but it was literally the Science and Art Center. There's this pavilion that after hours turns into a outdoors nightclub. And we went there and it was closed. There was no one there. We were trying to figure out the times. And this time it was Wednesday. And it was like, it opens at midnight on Wednesday, closed at 7 a.m. So it was like, well, it's midnight on a Wednesday. Why is it not open? And it didn't dawn on us that on Google, it could have been talking about midnight Thursday morning, like 11:59 p.m. Wednesday night. Thursday at 12 a.m. on Thursday night is when the club was open. So it was very confusing on Google. Like you could have put closed Wednesday and then open Thursday, but they put it like a day before. So there was like Wednesday we're open from 12 a.m. to 7 a.m. as in Wednesday night, Thursday morning, not Wednesday morning, Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, but Wednesday night, Thursday morning. So we ended up getting there and nothing was there. So we ended up getting a cab back to the bar that we were, and then we walked to a different bar. And then our friends called us again and was like, hey, we're going to this club, or texted us like, hey, we're going to this club. But before we went to the outdoor nightclub place, we ended up like stopping, and the British guy, the Sudanese guy, ended up getting out and going home. And we was like, okay. So we went, and then that's when we went to the nightclub, and then we came back, and it was like, hey, we're at this club. So we ended up going to this club. And Gabby and the Norway guy, they hit it off. You know, they was dancing with each other. They was kissing on each other. They was doing what they was doing. And we ended up finding our tour group, and we were all dancing and vibing. And I ended up befriending one of the girls named Abigail. And one night at the club, her and this guy named Jared, they ended up like hitting it off. They ended up just making out. Nothing crazy. They ended up making out. But Abby was feeling him, and they just ended up making out, ended up kissing, and then that was it. So she was still on the mind of like, well, okay, I don't like this dude, but you know, we're still cool. We're still cordial. We're still fun. But then at the night we were in Valencia, he was dancing and filling up on one of the other tour girls that was in that same friend group as Gabby. But he was ended up dancing and filling on one of the other girls and kissing her neck and stuff like that. And Abby was like, Micah, do you see this shit? And I was like, yeah, let's go get some drinks. We ended up getting drinks. She ended up taking a shot. And then we was like, all right, it's time to go. So I ended up taking Gabby, the Norwegian dude, and Abigail. And we ended up leaving the club early. Norwegian dude went off his separate way. And we ended up getting a cab back to the hotel. And then that was it. No, and then that was our last night in Valencia. That was our first day and last night in Valencia. We ended up waking early that morning, and we ended up had to go to Barcelona. So now, this is, if you're looking at it, this is day 9 of the trip. And we ended up going to Barcelona. That was a long drive to Barcelona, but then we get to Barcelona. And we ended up taking a sightseeing tour. We get there. This is where we got off the bus and we went to this little dome Coliseum mall thing. We went there, went shopping. As we were going there, or the day before, we was like, hey, when are we going to the club again? Our tour director was like, if you guys want to go to the club, okay, let me make some phone calls. I can get us, a couple of drinks at the bar in the entrance to this club. You just got to pay me. So we ended up paying her for it. It was like, it's like, our last few nights in in Spain, let's all do something together as a group. So we ended up going, was this the same day? Was it the same day? And then a free day. Yeah. So that was a couple days ago, and she did that a couple of days prior to us going to Swallows. A couple of days prior going to us going to Barcelona. Then we ended up in Barcelona. We did a sightseeing tour. We went to this mall. A couple of us was looking for some outfits to go to the club, and I got this nice little. I'll post a picture. This is a picture, but ended up getting this fit and shopping. And we were shopping. It was a big mall, huge mall, and this mall also had a grocery store, which made me think like a lot of malls in Spain had grocery stores. And then we all met up and we rendezvoused at the bus where we met our last tour guide. And we did another driving sightseeing tour. We went up to the highest point in Barcelona. Well, not the highest point. Went up to one of the highest points in Barcelona, which is literally the city's here and the high point is here. There's another high point up here. But anyway, we went to like a high point and it had a museum. We didn't go into the museum. We just went there. Tour guide was like explaining us the information about the museum. And then and you can see the city. We took pictures. Mind you, 3 days prior to this, when I was in Madrid with Paula, she was telling me that Coldplay was in Barcelona. And it just so happened that when we got to Barcelona, we just missed Coldplay. So sad. But so we were at the museum, then we left, and then we went to where do we go next? We did another sightseeing. Oh yeah, we was a sightseeing tour. We got on the bus and we were driving around. And then we went to the Sagrada Familia, which is that big church in Barcelona that everybody talks about, and it's the first thing that you think of when you see Barcelona. We went to that church. We didn't go inside. That unfortunately that wasn't included in the trip. So if you wanted to go, you had to purchase your own tickets. But we went there and we only walked around the outside and in the park area. Still nice, still pretty cool. We ended up going back to the bus and we ended up going to Park Güell, which was originally going to be like a nice enclosed town. And it didn't happen that way, so it just became a park. This is the park that if you've seen cheetah girls around the world, we're going to strut like you mean it. Free your mind. Yeah, that's the park that they that's the park that they were in when they made that music video. Or where they filmed that scene. So we ended up having like a little cheetah girl moment and taking pictures and having fun. And then we said bye to our last tour director and we split off. A lot of us, we actually went back to the hotel, checked into the hotel, and issues with our hotel. Not the best hotel. I mean, yes, it was a pretty good hotel. It was just a lot of the ACs was this, da-da-da. Anyway, so we ended up going to that hotel. And we ended up getting ready, freshening it up, and a few of us, and we all went out to the club. A few of us was at the hotel. We ended up leaving. We ended up taking the metro there because we got metro passes too. We ended up taking the metro, going there, having to get on to another metro, and then actually ended up at the beachfront where we met everybody else. They was there. Noelia gave us our passes. We got our drinks. We went inside. The dude asked us for some music selections, so we ended up playing DJ. And this is when one of my tourmates asked for a Shirley Temple, and it was like, we don't do Shirley Temple. And I was like, maybe you can ask for like, we was like Sprite or asked for like, he was like Sprite and like syrup, like grenadine. He was like, we have grenadine, we just don't have Sprite. So I was like, maybe you have to like customize it. And I remember back at La Rosilia that they had Schweppes. They had Schweppes wild berry seltzer. So I asked, I was like, can you do the Schweppes wild berry seltzer and put some strawberry grenadine in it? And strawberry grenadine, wild berry seltzer, and he put some vodka in it. Stir that bitch around. You had a nice fucking Shirley Temple. You had a nice Shirley Temple. It was a Shirley Temple, and it was really good. And a lot of the American people in the group, they liked it, and so much to the point that they actually went back and they asked to make it. And so we all was rocking around with our nice little, Spanish Shirley Temple. Like it was a nice moment because I felt good. I felt like, oh, I did that. That was me. I created something. I did something. So that was that. And And then after that, we end up going to the club, and a lot of people that have not gone to the club out with us before end up going. So it was nice. Majority of the tour group ended up going to the club. We ended up dancing, we ended up vibing, we ended up having fun, getting drinks, all that fun stuff. But then I'm not a club person. And it got to the point where the club got packed and everybody was bumping into each other. So, and when I'm not when I'm around females, but I definitely when there's females in my group, I definitely get into okay, this is my group, y'all okay, I don't want y'all to disappear or whatever. So I was with this group. It was actually Kendall and Deja, and there was other people with us too, but we was dancing and they didn't come out with us before, and so I was like, okay, I didn't want them to feel, feel uncomfortable. So we was dancing, and people were just like, hey, here. And then they ended up leaving. And then Gabby ended up going off with some guy, and Abby ended up going up with some guy. So they ended up leaving, and I was like, hey, I'm finna head out too. You literally could not move. This is why I don't like clubs, because you can't move in clubs. So you literally could not move. So I ended up going out to the beach. I ended up finding Gabby and Abby. They were with the guys. So I was like, okay, I'm finna head out. And ended up finding Kendall and Deja. They actually just went out. They said they were leaving, but they actually went outside. And it was a little more not crazy outside. So they ended up outside. And so then and then I went outside. I found Gabby and Abby. I told them, hey, I'm finna go to the beach. And it was like, okay. And it was like, are you ready to go? I was like, no, I'm not ready to go yet. Cool. Deja and Kendall ended up leaving. And this is when I was texting people. I was like, hey, let me know when you get home. This is Micah. Let me know when you get home. And so they ended up leaving. And a lot of people that we were with ended up leaving as well. Oh, there was these two guys on the tour group that didn't, interact with us. They stayed in themselves, but then they ended up finding some girls at the bar that we were at, and they were with the girls the whole time. They ended up leaving with the girls. Nothing happened. The girls just got fucking wasted. So they ended up leaving with the girls, and then it was a lot of, I want to say the older people, so like Ricky and Emily and Casey. They ended up leaving as well once the club got too crowded. Sonica and Catherine ended up leaving before we even went to the club. They came to the bar, and then they left before we went to the club. Caitlin ended up leaving with Ricky and them. And then, like I said, it was me, Kendall, Noelia, Deja, Abby, and Gabby. Abby and Gabby. And like I said, Kendall and Deja, they left. And then Gabby and Abby, they were with the guys. And I was on the beach. And I was just walking on the beach, playing, going in the water, all that fun stuff. Walking around. Abby and Gabby came out with the guys. They were sitting with the guys on the beach. They were doing their little drunken flirty stuff. And I was like, all right, y'all, it's time to go. So we end up leaving. Mind you, the metros are done. And we tried to find a cab. And I guess I ended up telling the cab driver the wrong hotel. So he put the hotel in. He was like, it'll be 90 euros per person. We was like, fuck that shit. We'll walk. And we ended up walking an hour away from where we were. And we ended up walking miles away. So an hour's worth of walking. We walked for an hour trying to find a cab, which all the cabs were down at the beachfront, obviously trying to make money. So we ended up walking. We found a cab. We found a cab. We got into the cab. We put it in the hotel. He gave us a fair price. And so we went to the cab, and Gabby was like, I'll pay for it. So Gabby paid for the cab, and we took the cab back to the hotel. And Abby wanted to go to the viewpoint and see the city. And we was like, it was a must. We were supposed to go earlier that day. Right? Oh, no, we didn't even go to the viewpoint. We went to the hotel, and we KO'd. Yeah, we went to the viewpoint, and we KO'd. And then we came back, and We ended up waking up the next day. Boom, here we are, and we had the free day. Matt was telling me, he was like, we should have like a roomy day. So we ended up waking up that morning. We ended up having like, it was actually, we didn't wake up. We had a latish start. We ended up going down to the hotel cafe. We ended up getting food, and then we took the metro and we went down. We went down downtown Barcelona. And we ended up walking around. He had a couple places that he wanted to look at, and so we walked. We walked. There was two of these houses made by like an architect, and they were different. They weren't like the regular buildings. They were just different. And so we went to one, and then we walked down to another one, and then we walked down to this little square, but there was nothing active how Matt thought it was. What I guess the pictures and was different from when we got there. It was very dead and dry. And he was like, I have another place I want to go, or we could go to the thing. I was like, let's go to the Sagrada Familia. Went to the Sagrada Familia. I'll be cute and simple because this is already an hour and like I'm going on 2 hours. I'm so sorry, y'all. We went to the Sagrada Familia, and that was the most beautiful thing ever. I'll let the pictures and videos like discuss it, tell you about it. But outside was already big and like big as it is. Apparently, the Sagrada Familia was made by like 9 different architectures because one died and then another one tried to finish it. And then when they died, another one tried to finish it. And it's still being finished to this day. Anyway, so you can definitely see all the different like art, all the art styles in it. Anyway, we went to the Sagrada Familia. We went in. It was big and beautiful and colorful and oh my gosh. And then we went up to the towers and was like, oh my gosh, look at the view. And then we went down and then we just looked around some more, and the Sagrada Familia was amazing, breathtaking. I'm so mad it wasn't included in the tour. You had to buy it because everybody should have seen it. Everybody in my tour group should have seen it, and it wasn't included in this tour, and that was a big problem because it definitely should have been a nice tour group experience with all of us. Big, beautiful. That's it. Sagrada Familia. I'm not gonna spend too much time on that. Then I ended up doing some shopping. Matt was like, he wanted to go see some more stuff. So I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna do some shopping and I'm gonna head back to the hotel. He was like, okay. And so we ended up splitting ways. I ended up doing my last minute shopping, which I was pretty good on my budget this time. I didn't do my shopping toward the end of the tour. And at the end of the tour, I just went ham with the money that I had. But I saved my money. Anyway, so I went shopping, then I went back to the hotel. By the time I got back to the hotel, it was already time for us to go get ready for the farewell dinner. So I laid down, I finished packing my stuff, then I laid down and I waited, and then Matt came back, and Matt was, he took a shower and he got ready. Then I got ready, and then we all ended up meeting downstairs in the lobby with Noelia. Noelia was waiting for us, and she was saying her thank yous and stuff like that. And she gave us presents. But she gave us olive oils and a fan and a picture of a photo. And it just so happened that Catherine, Hazel, and Sonica got a photo. They got a photo on a card, and we all signed the card, and we gave her a photo. And the same exact photo that they got her, she got us. And we didn't even know. And Noelia was so happy. She was like, "You guys are the first group that got me something. Thank you guys. You guys were like the first group that I felt like I wasn't working, like I had the ability to not work with you guys." And it was like, we love you. You made this so much. Noelia was like the best tour guide ever. Out of all my tour guides, I have some phenomenal tour guides, but Noelia's up there. Noelia's up there real hard. So we did that, and then we ended up walking down to the subway station. And subways were not moving. We were trying to figure out why they weren't moving. It's because there was apparently some guy on the tracks. And we were already late to our reservation. So we had to leave the subway. We had to go to the bus station. We all had to cram on the bus. The bus was crowded as is. We all had to cram on the bus. We had to take the bus down to our stop. We got off the bus and we went to a restaurant. We had a nice farewell dinner. Food, I had some good food. I had chicken foie gras, which was a chicken breast and had some like little ganaches. Ganache size, and had duck gravy, basically duck sauce, basically not like your Asian duck sauce, but like duck gravy. Anyway, had that. We had our drinks, we had our appetizers, we had our desserts, and then we all took our pictures. We said our farewells. We love each other. Kisses, goodbye. And then a group of us, we went out to the bar. And me and Abby went to this bar. Gabby and Ricky went out to another bar. And then they ended up coming with us, and so did Emily and Casey. They ended up finding us at the bar that we were at, not knowing that we were in a gay district. No, we were in the gay district, and the bar we went to was, a little flamboyant bar. Okay, the bar wasn't flamboyant, but there was some people in there that were, they were, you know, you know. So we were all chilling, we were all vibing, and we was like, there's more people, so let's see if we can find a bigger table. We ended up finding a bigger table upstairs. The dude came up to me and was like, hey, my friend thinks, he thinks you're kind of, good looking. He wants, can I show you his Instagram? Are you interested? And I was like, I'm sorry, but I'm not. And Gabby and Abby was like, wait, we want to see his Instagram. And it was like, Micah, you might need to switch pools a little bit. And I was like, no. And the dude was like, it's okay. And the dude walked off and the girl was like, well, you're missing out. And I was like, I didn't know we were in that type of bar. So we were all drinking our mojitos, and we were all drinking, we were talking, and we were just, talking. And then Gabby and Abby and I, we wanted to go find another bar, but Ricky, Casey, and Emily was like, we're probably going to head in. So they ended up heading in. We ended up getting a cab, or did we walk? No, we ended up getting a cab, or did we walk? I think we ended up getting a cab to another bar. We was going to go to the Speakeasy, but the Speakeasy was closed. They didn't let nobody in. So we had to go to another bar, and this bar was actually pretty good. It was a small bar, but we ended up finding somebody, I think she was from Venezuela. She speaks really nice English. She works there. And we was like, there's a lot of South American people here. And we was like, there's a lot of South American people here. That's a big ass bug. And, we was thinking, why would they come here? And I was like, well, maybe because Spain is like the America for them. So, Venezuela, obviously, right? South America was colonized by Spain, right? So it makes sense for a lot of South Americans to move to Spain because it's like, I guess, like the U.S. for them, Because we met a lot of people from South America. One of the tour guide that took us to go to that night view in Alhambra was also from, I think, Venezuela or Colombia, one of the two, but he was from there as well. Anyway, so Abby and I end up going to that bar. We ended up drinking, and then we was like, all right, let's go back to the hotel. And Gabby was like, yeah, time to check in, gotta wake up early. Abby was like, I still want to go see the viewpoint. So we ended up getting a cab, going back to the hotel. Gabby got out, and I ended up translating to the driver. I was like, hey, can you take us to the viewpoint? I'll pay you for your time. He ended up taking us to the viewpoint, which was the viewpoint. It was at night, so we didn't get to see a lot of things that we wanted to, but it was a viewpoint. It was the highest viewpoint in Barcelona. We could see literally everything. You could literally see the whole city. We ended up getting out. We ended up taking pictures, and he ended up taking our pictures. And we ended up getting back in the cab, and he drove us down, closest down to like a little better viewpoint. We ended up jumping some walls and railings to get there. He took our pictures, had a nice viewpoint. The viewpoint was amazing. Oh my God, we got back in the car, and then we went back down to the hotel, paid him for his time, and then some, because dog didn't have to do that. Dog just had to take us up there, and he could have left us, but nah. He literally stood up there, he took our pictures, so we paid him the ride of the Uber, the ride of the taxi, and we paid him extra for his time, and then Abby paid him on top of that, so dude made bank off of us. And then we end up going to bed, waking up the next morning, packing our stuff, saying goodbye to everybody, going to the airport, waiting for our plane. Then we end up finally saying goodbye to everybody. And the Floridians got on their plane. We flew back to Florida. We actually flew into Canada. We flew into Canada, Toronto, and we had a pretty long layover, but it was fine because we got food, yada yada. And we got on the plane, and we made it back home, and then we all went our separate ways, and the end. And that was that. Oh my gosh. Oh, so sorry, y'all. I'm so sorry. Anyway, and that was that. I really did enjoy the Spanish road trip, and I really did like the group that I was with. I definitely made some like long-term friends on all my trips, But Belize and Spain more than others. I definitely made some long-term friends on these trips than I have on my other trips. I definitely do keep in touch with these people. I want to keep in touch with these people. I definitely hope I see them in the long term. If you guys ever get to go to Spain, please go to Spain and please take amount of time. It's so funny because once we got back home, literally like 4 days later, Beyonce was in Barcelona, bitch. Beyonce was in Barcelona, bitch. Beyonce was in Barcelona. We got back on July, like June, July. We got back on July 3rd. She was in Madrid. She was in Barcelona on July 8th. Like, bitch, what? Probably sooner. She's probably there while we was there, but she didn't have her concert to the 8th. It was like, what, bitch? I'm mad. Anyway, and then when we got to Toronto, and then we flew out to Toronto, like a couple days later, that's when that whole wildfire thing happened in Canada and shut down air traffic. So it was like, we got lucky. But I definitely recommend you guys just travel the world. I don't care if you're young or you're old. Please travel the world, especially if you're young like me. I say this, I don't know if I said it on here all the time, but I say it all the time. It's like, I'd rather travel now while I'm young and in my prime and I can do things that I want to do versus working a 9 to 5, retiring at 65 and being old and crippled and not being able to do the things that I could have done when I was younger. So if you have the opportunity to travel, please take the opportunity to travel and go see. I don't care if you're traveling within your state, within your country, right? Or I don't care if you're traveling within your state or within your country or within your continent. Just travel, go somewhere that's not home, right? I love being home. Home is home, but you give me a trip to go, you give me a trip to go to the other side of the country, my country, I would take it because I've never been outside of the East Coast, which I need to start taking some more in-country trips. But like the world, there's better things out in the world. So I'll stick to my global travel, but definitely do that. I'm sorry for keeping you guys longer. This is a longer episode than usual, so I hope I can edit it. I really do hope I can edit it, because if not, I'm gonna cry. But long story short, thank you guys for watching. This is my trip. This is my Spanish road trip. Please follow EF Break. Please look into booking with them. I promise you, it's worth it. Especially for my solo travelers, it's worth it. Spanish was amazing. Noelia was amazing. And like I said, I just really enjoyed myself. Anyway, I'm Micah Gregory. Oh, before I sign out, you already know what I do. Got your little music session coming up. This time is Qué Pasó from a friend of mine I used to go to school with. He goes by the name ENC, IAN space CEE, ENC. And this is the song Qué Pasó. I'm Micah Gregory. This is The Micah Show. Thank you for watching.
Entienda cómo un amor se puede acabar tan rápido y que los recuerdos se borran de una. Pero dime qué fue lo que pasó. Lo de nosotros se acabó. La llama que teníamos se apagó. Y el amor de nosotros expiró. Dime qué fue lo que pasó. Lo de nosotros se acabó. La llama que teníamos se apagó. Y el amor de nosotros expiró. Tú no ves el daño que hiciste. Yo me iba a ir pero huiste. Yo sé que para ti fui un chiste. Usaste como chicle y me escupiste. Ya olvidé todo lo que dijiste. Jugaste conmigo pero perdiste. Si me doliera ya tuviera cicatrices. Ahora busca otro pa' que utilice. No me llames por favor. La cura del pasado es el alcohol. Yo sé que al dejarte te dolió y me di cuenta que era mi peor error. Pero conmigo jugaste y me maltrataste. Me cago en el día en el que tú llegaste. Obligaste mi amor pero no lo lograste. Y ahora solo y vacía en tu vida quedaste. Dime qué fue lo que pasó. Lo de nosotros se acabó. La llama que teníamos se apagó. Y el amor de nosotros expiró. así. Y ya, Yancy.